So back in 2020, I held a case study with 4 individuals, 3 aphantasics, 1 hypophantasic. The objective was really simple, to see how many of them could actually experience something novel, aka a breakthrough within 4 sessions. So why am I deciding to release the information now? Well, just because I never got around to it. And the results from the study are really relevant still. Students have made progress in a similar fashion since then too. So here are some of the parameters around the study. No compensation was taken and no money was paid out. So myself and the participants were participating solely on their own accord. The participants were interviewed beforehand. That was to attempt to grasp where they were starting from on the visual imagination spectrum. Another parameter was they were instructed not to practice outside of the sessions, to try to eliminate outside practice hours or different sort of exercises. And an important note here, the study wasn't perfect by any means. All the recording beforehand, afterwards, it was all done subjectively, which is one of the main problems with imagination studies to begin with. Also, the possibility of the coach, me, leading them through certain things is not off the table. And there wasn't really any baked-in process to hear how they were doing after, aside from the interview, which you'll see segments of here. So finally, I'm releasing the full videos, well, starting with the first one. I have 4 participant videos that I'm going to be releasing, starting with Bree. So first, let's hear about where she started prior to beginning the study sessions.
When I found out about the fact that other people could visualize and that I couldn't would have been my senior year of high school. I had always thought visualizing and imagining was like a figurative, like a figure of speech. I didn't think people really were visualizing. I thought it was just like think about the thing, and I would think about the things in terms of like words and stuff.
Now, as we worked together, there started to be these subtle breakthrough experiences that she had. And here's an example of one of those moments.
I remember between session 2 and 3 doing one of those guided meditations, like it said, like plant the seed of confidence. And I then thought of that during the meditation as like a seed and then a sunflower. And that's not something that I would have done in the past. I think I would have just, I always thought very literally.
Now, one of the things that stands out about Bree and her process within the study was that the progress seemed extremely subtle. It really started with like light kind of perception shifts and then associations and details that she really wasn't used to thinking about prior. And having done this sort of coaching since 2018, I tend to associate these sort of shifts with, evidence that the brain is starting to make a change. Here are some more of those moments where stuff started to shift a little bit for her.
What we want to zero in on is how that thinking of the path is occurring to you in the moment.
I think in that moment it was like a fleeting like dirt path. Because I wasn't thinking like let me think of a dirt path. I feel like I got into like a 2 or 3 when you said to go up the stairs. But it was different in that like I was here on my bed, but like I kind of saw it like below me, like as if though I was coming up the stairs to myself now in my bed. And then you said to come on my bed and take breaths, and it's like, oh.
Now, what's interesting here is I've noticed this as a theme with people practicing the mind's eye. One of the byproducts can be that people start to notice details more in their environment. Further evidence that the brain is starting to process just a little bit differently. Then the next landmark came in session 3 out of 4. So this is where notable spatial and visual thoughts began to kick in that were outside of her norm.
Well, right now when we were talking about like me practicing or like me wanting to practice the picture thing, I was thinking again of like the girl and in more detail, like her pink raincoat, like the pink boots. I feel like I got like a glimpse. Like, like you said, that like feeling that's like very vague, but it's like you weren't telling me to think of that, and I just thought of that.
Oh man. Okay. So you had the thought come to mind. It was beyond just a concept, beyond just the words of it, but it was like the sense of the actual picture.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's awesome.
And it was interesting because you weren't guiding me towards that.
Right.
It just like kind of like when we would do those like start thinking one thing and then my mind wanders to other things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I was like thinking of like her with her feet in like the water looking down. It was interesting.
That's awesome. Well, welcome to the mind's eye.
cool.
So the breakthrough moments did start to happen, but it seemed like her conscious mind was having a challenging time accepting some of the changes. I spent some considerable time on session 4 refreshing her memory to some of those breakthroughs, and that's something I've seen again and again within the sessions that I do. It's like our mind has a hard time establishing a new norm, and whatever it's comfortable with, it will default into. But some of the effects that she started to experience during the sessions was quite drastic compared to her norm, like remembering scenes and visual memory increases. The VVIQ-2 scores were also increasing, and she started to notice visual specifics in the scene as she was thinking of it that she didn't have before. A sense of spatial awareness, and one time even sensing a tap on her shoulder. So overall, Bree's breakthroughs really did seem very subtle, but they started to give her access to new types of thought forms that she wasn't able to access prior.
Say that fridge moment was like more of a spatial awareness of it without visual component, or was there some visual component in there too?
I think there's some visual component. Even like right now, rethinking it's like, because before when I would visualize a scene, I couldn't do like the whole picture. It'd be like I would name like if it was my room, I would name like individual aspects of a scene. You know, like this. Whereas now I feel like I have a better ability to do the bigger picture of it, I guess.
Well done. Fantastic job. And thanks so much for telling others about it.
Yeah, thank you as well.
One thing to consider that's very important, I think, within a study like this is this did take place 4 years ago, and I haven't had much of a chance, nor have I made an effort to reach back out to the participants to see how their progress continued, or if it did at all. I'm very curious if their progress continued or plateaued or was lost. So from here, I'm going to continue to work through the other participants' information slowly and come out with those videos too. I hope you found this useful, and finally, if you'd like to explore working with me or the techniques that I've used, make sure to jump on my website and newsletter. Also, jump into the Discord community. We're always having this type of conversation in there. All right, that's it. See you next time.